Welcome to Big Papa Rob's podcast story rewind. I'm Big Papa Rob. Here I rewind the story from a person, place, or thing and tell you where it originated from. You may or may not know this town I'm going to tell you about was once the capital of the South, unofficially, after the Civil War, when it started growing from a fort in the woods to a location that's turning into a settlement known as Terminus. No, not the Terminus from The Walking Dead where they ate everyone that was lured there under the pretense of sanctuary, but a railroad ending point. Let's back this story up to its earliest beginnings, when this was still Native American country. Picture this beautiful, wooded area along where Peachtree Creek flows into the Chattahoochee River. This was the borderlands of the Creek Nation and Cherokee Native American Territory in 1812. After the Creek War of 1812, where the British recruited the Creek Native Americans to attack Fort Mims in southwestern Alabama, the United States started building a series of forts, one being situated next to an important Native American site called Standing Peachtree. This was close to Creek Indian Village. This site was traditionally known as a Native American meeting place at the boundaries between Creek and Cherokee lands. This fort was originally known as Fort Glimmer. It was soon renamed Fort Peachtree and was the first non-native settlement. Soon, a road was built using parts of trails that led from Fort Peachtree to Fort Daniel, located on top of Hog Mountain in present-day Tequila, Georgia. This increased the presence of non-Native Americans traveling in this area. From 1802 to 1825, the United States systematically removed the Native Americans from this area. The Creek Indians were the last to leave this area in 1821. In 1830, a wayside inn was built by Charner Humphreys near this area. The settlement became known as Whitehall, since the inn had a coat of white paint, which was unusual since most buildings at the time were washed or natural wood color. By 1836, the state of Georgia decided to build a railroad to the U.S. Midwest. Between 1837 and 1842, this settlement area began being known as Terminus, because the railroad drove a stake in the ground known as 0 Mile Post. Terminus meaning end of the line or railroad. In 1842, 0 Mile was moved to a new site, and the settlement known as Terminus had 6 buildings and 30 residents by this point. As this settlement grew, it became incorporated as the town of Marthasville in 1843, being named after Governor Lumpkin's youngest daughter, Martha Atlantia Lumpkin. In 1845, the chief engineer of the Georgia Railroad suggested that Marthasville be renamed to Atlantia Pacifica. This was quickly shortened to Atlanta. Governor Lumpkin appeared to support the change, reporting that Martha's middle name was Atlantia. The name change to Atlanta was approved in December of 1845. By 1847, Atlanta had 3 railroad lines, a lumber mill, newspaper, school, and a doctor. When 1850 rolled around, it had improved roads, sidewalks, the telegraph, and Oakland Cemetery, which is still here today. As big as Atlanta is today, it also has many nicknames, one of them being the City in the Forest. This makes me think back to when it was a meeting place for the Native Americans, in a place known as Standing Peachtree. There were so many streets that refer to Peachtree in their names because of that meeting place and the creek that runs to the Chattahoochee River. The nickname, the City in the Forest, comes from the fact that it has over 100,000 shade trees covering 47.9% of the city. Oh, and by the way, the original 0 Mile marker was located near where Georgia World Congress Center is today. When the 0 Mile marker was relocated in 1842, its placement would be located under the Central Avenue Bridge adjacent to underground Atlanta today. The 0 mile marker from 1842 can be seen in the Atlanta History Center in Atlanta. May 14, 2019, the Atlanta History Center marked the historic Terminus location with a new marble milepost marker and information about the historic Terminus. Hopefully you've learned something today about Atlanta, Georgia, that you may or may not have known before. Thank you for listening today. I hope you come back next week for my next story. The stories will be ever-changing, from the historical origins of many things and the stories of people you may or may not know their history of. And again, I'm Big Papa Rob, and this was the Story Rewind. Produced by Big Papa Rob, edited by my beautiful wife, Amanda, aka Big Mama. Today's music was Powerful Stylish Stomp Rock by Mark July from Pixabay. This has been a Big Papa Rob podcast 2023.